Hi all. I wanted to do a quick review of the Acacia Ubass. I bought an Acacia Ubass for my wife recently, and wanted to sort of let you all know some of the interesting points of the bass. This one is solid acacia, which is a very pretty wood, as you can probably see there. It's sort of mahogany in color, like a dark mahogany with some interesting cross grain, a little bit of flame, I guess you would call it, in the wood there. See if I can get it without too much. There you go. Pretty color all the way around. Same thing on the back. There's a little cover plate here. The fingerboard is rosewood. The bridge looks to be rosewood. There's a saddle pickup here. End pin jack. As you can see, it's plugged in right now. This is what it sounds like when it's not plugged in. Let's see. Or you can hear that it doesn't have a lot of volume, but it has enough volume to practice by, certainly. And not enough to play against like acoustic instruments. It would just be lost very quickly. The strings are made of polyurethane. They call them Papaho strings. I don't know who Papaho is, but the strings are polyurethane. They're a little thicker than a steel string of the equivalent range would be. It is tuned to a regular bass, so it's just E, A, D, G. This one is fretted, and this one actually plays pretty well in tune. So you can hear it plays. Plays pretty well in tune. It uses the hip shot tuners. You can't really see them very well there, but they're, they fit these strings properly. The nut looks to be like another piece of rosewood. When I got this bass, it actually had a lot of problems, and I'll just go through it real quickly. The nut was very badly cut. It was actually, you can't see it, but the nut here was actually, the slots were cut leaning toward the fingerboard, like this direction, rather than leaning back towards the tuners. That, of course, made the strings play out of tune, and it just didn't work right. Fortunately, the nut was so poorly cut and so little cut that I was able to recut it back the other angle and also fit it better to the body and do some finish work on it. Now it's nice and smooth and nicely cut. The frets were actually pretty well cut, but as I always do with a new fretted instrument, I fret leveled and dressed them. The pickup was a mess. That was a real problem. I mean, not for me really, but it would be for anybody who didn't know what they were doing. The pickup, this was the saddles are essentially a solid piece of plastic going across. Now there are slots between them, but they are connected. When you pull the saddle piece out, there's a pickup underneath, a big piezo crystal pickup underneath, and then the saddle sits on top. Well, they were cut in such a way that they were too tight in some places, and just the top two strings were ringing through the pickup and the bottom two were not. That's a real problem, obviously, because this thing really is meant as an electric instrument. I fixed that. That was not a big problem. I took it apart. The pickup was mounted too far toward it. It actually goes, the wire comes up through this side of the pickup, and it was mounted too far this way, so I had to solder it, the pickup, move it over a bit, resolder it properly, and then cut all the saddle covers properly and place them. And they are actually adjusted. They are intonation adjusted, and when you put them on right, and it plays pretty well in tune, as you can hear. Another problem it had was on the back here, they put a little cover. You can see I can remove it, and you can get into the back there and put the strings in. They actually attach from inside the bridge and go feed out through the front and up to the tuners. Well, this little piece, you can see there are these little metal strips here, And there are little magnets. I don't know if you can see them, but there are one in each corner. There's one here, there's one here, here, and here. There are little magnets there, and they pull at this so that it stays on. It's kind of a nice system. The problem is, is that the magnets were too weak, and there were big globs of glue in here. I cleaned those away, but still they're too weak. They're not really holding this. So what happens is every time I would set down the base, this would fall out. Literally, it would just fall off. And sometimes you'd pick up the base, you go, oh, where's the back piece? So what I did is I got a couple neodymium magnets and glued them to the inside here. And now it snaps on quite snugly. Has about a pull of about 2 pounds on this little piece. So it's plenty strong to hold it in place. You can see it stays on and snaps in quite nicely and holds it snug so it doesn't rattle. I did a bunch of other little things too. The tuners were not properly put on. The screws back here were all loose, and the bolts, or the nuts around here were all loose. I tightened those down. The tuners themselves, actually 2 of them wouldn't turn. They were like over tightened. The middle screw was over tightened. So I loosened those properly and actually used a little, not oil, but a lubricant that won't collect dirt on each of these to keep them nice smooth, and now they turn very smoothly. Let's go to listen to it. The thing is very light. It's really, really light. I put this pin on, this strap pin on for my wife so that she could wear this thing. It comes with, of course, the end pin for the jack, but it doesn't come for a strap pin. And with it right here on the side of the neck, which is not where I normally like to put it, but with it right there, it balances pretty well. It's a little head heavy, but not enough that you would ever notice it at all. So here's what it sounds like. Plugged in. Okay, so it has a nice tone. I'm going to check the intonation here real fast, just make sure this thing's in tune. One of the things about these basses is these strings stretch a lot. It's like a nylon string guitar when you classical guitar strings, they take forever to tune up, and days of tuning. But once they get in tune, they're usually pretty good. So that's pretty much on the button there. For example, like Chameleon. You can hear it has sort of has a bit of a growl on the lower end. Let me turn this up a hair. So it has a nice tone. It's kind of, if I were to turn it flat, turn the EQ flat, you would hear it sounds kind of bright, and you'd hear a lot of finger noise. I'll do that quickly. So this would be flat with no boost or cut of any kind. Let me get that just right. There we go. So you can hear that it's kind of bright, and you hear a lot of finger noise. I like it a little bit with the upper range, the trebles and the mids turned down a bit to give it a little sort of a darker tone, and makes it a little more sort of punchy sounding. It does not sound like an upright bass. And it doesn't really sound like your regular electric bass either. It sounds sort of like, I mean, straight out of the box, it sort of sounds like a cross between the fatness of an upright, but sort of the darkness of a Gibson, I guess what they call those, an SG bass, with the giant pickups on them. It sounds sort of like that. And then it has a little edge, sort of this weird upper edge. It's really not bad. I mean, as a bass, it fits really nice in when you're recording and when you're playing. So there it is. I would suggest, if you decide to buy one of these, to make sure that you're going to have it set up properly. Mine came in really in pretty tough shape. I contacted Kala about it, and they sort of admitted that they were behind the 8 ball in getting these things in. This is the second shipping of these, and a lot of people liked them, and so these were sent out very quickly. And it could be the quality control just wasn't quite up to muster for this one, but it's a neat bass, and it's fun to play. Enjoy.